Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Smart Finances podcast. My name is Yezmin Thomas. I am your host, and I am thrilled to have you here. If this is the first time listening to Smart Finances, welcome. If you are listening to my podcast and you're wondering, wait a minute, this used to be called something else, you're right. Just like all things grow and evolve, my podcast, which used to be called One Take, has evolved as well. So the first season was all about me trying to figure out really what I wanted to do with my life. I was in a point where I was kind of having the crisis of the 40s, when you're turning 40 and you're trying to figure out what to do with your life. You're questioning your decisions, you're questioning where you're at, you're doing everything that you thought you needed to be doing, getting the better job, getting the nicer house, doing all these things that society tells us that we should be doing to be successful. But at the same time, you're not feeling successful. You're feeling stressed. You're feeling overwhelmed. You're feeling like you are just running every single day, doing things, and you don't feel like you're living the life that you love. You're living a life, and it's happening, and everything is going so fast. And at the end of the day, you're wondering, am I doing the right thing? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing with my life? Because I don't like it. So season 1 of my podcast, which you're more than welcome to go back and listen to, was really all about trying to figure out where I wanted to go. Like I knew I wasn't happy, and I knew I needed to take charge. I learned that nothing was going to be fixed for me. I needed to fix it myself. So I just wanted to figure out what to do. What is it that I did? I started interviewing people that were doing something that was attractive to me. Entrepreneurs, people who had figured out what they wanted to do, people who had successful businesses, people who were successful and they were happy. They appeared to be happy with what they were doing. So as I was interviewing these amazing people that share their time with me and with you guys, if you listen to those interviews, I realized that I needed to take a really serious look on my life to figure out what I wanted to go, because I was certainly not happy. Then I decided to stop doing the podcast in English because I felt this calling to become a financial coach. And not only to become a financial coach, but to be the financial coach for the Hispanic community. So what I did for a year and a half, almost 2 years, I created a bunch of content in Spanish. And I was doing that because I knew that's where the need was. And as I did that and I saw people were learning and transforming their lives, I started to get into the same place. I'm like, I am doing this. I used to enjoy doing this, but now what? What's next? And that's when things started to change for me. I decided that if I wanted to become the person that I meant to be, I needed to cross over and produce more content in English. If I want my business to become the business that I envision it to be in 10 years, I needed to get out of my comfort zone. The reality is that I went into creating content in Spanish because that's where I was the most comfortable in. That's my native language. I knew the concepts. I knew how to explain them. And I always had this fear in my head. And this is a limiting belief that I have. And I'm sharing it with you so that you can realize that if you have limiting beliefs in your head, they're in your head. I used to believe that because I had an accent, people who speak English would perceive me as less competent than a person that speaks English fluently and without an accent. So I believed that people in the United States would not listen to me and believe me because I had an accent. Can you believe that? So I went on for many years comforting myself, focusing on creating content in Spanish, which has been great and has helped many people improve their finances. But in reality, what I was doing, I was escaping from growth. I needed to step into what makes me uncomfortable. And these guys makes me uncomfortable because it's not my first language, and because I have all these limiting beliefs that because I have an accent, I'm going to be perceived as someone that's not as competent as other people. I tell you that because it's important for me that you know that I'm making an effort. Where I see myself in 10 years is someone who's not afraid about speaking with an accent. I used to hate it when people told me, oh, you have a cute accent. Where are you from? And I was trying my best. I was trying my best to not have an accent. And that was the first thing they would ask me. Where are you from? You have such a cute accent. I'll be like defeated, you know? And I'm just like, this is who I am. And I tell you this because you might be stopping yourself from doing things that are very important that can change other people's lives because you have a limiting belief. That was my limiting belief. I am moving on. I am facing it. And you know what? I don't care if people find it cute. I don't care if people make fun of me. I don't care if people perceive me as less competent. My mom always told me, when you have an accent, what that means is that you have other capacities. You speak a different language on top of the language that you speak with an accent. So having an accent makes you actually a better prepared person. That's what it actually means, that you are better prepared because this is your second language. So I just want to share that with you because whatever is limiting your full potential, you need to face it. You need to challenge yourself and move forward. So what is the second season of my podcast all about? Smart finances. As I told you, I went on to become a financial coach. I'm actually a trained Ramsey Solutions Master Financial Coach. I have a financial coaching business. I'm a working mom as well as I grow my business. A lot has happened, but in short, little by little, I'll be telling you everything that's happened. But in short, I realized that I had jumped in too soon in going into my business full time, and I needed to breathe and I needed to come back, get a job, and keep growing my business. So that's the phase of life I'm in. I'm growing my business. I am extremely excited of what's happening in my business. I see some huge milestones approaching, and I'll be telling you about those as this goes on, because the whole point of the second season of my podcast, Smart Finances, will be to share with you my journey to freedom, specifically financial freedom. When I was growing up, and even when I was an adult, my parents never talked about money. So I did not grow up knowing what to do with money, knowing how to handle finances. And if you guys, for those of you who have listened to some of my episodes, my Money Life episodes on season number 1, which you're more than welcome to go ahead and check out, I'll tell you a little bit about my backstory so that you understand where I'm coming from. Grew up in Mexico. My dad was the son of immigrants. They came to Mexico from Lebanon with a suitcase. That's it. And my grandparents just worked their butts off. They started with nothing. They built businesses. They had clothing businesses. Then when my dad was very young, around 17 years old, my grandfather got sick and he died. And now the kids had to work to provide for the family. And they had a store and things didn't go right with the store. They had to shut it down. And so since my dad was 17 years old, he was working to provide for the family. There were my grandmother and 5 children. And then he went on to become a television producer, a television presenter, and he built his own television and video production business. All along with his own money, with his own talent, with his own desire to create from what he knew what to do and what he knew what he liked. So he gave us an amazing living. My dad always worked very hard. We were not rich by any means, but he worked really hard and he loved to travel. So we traveled a lot. We went everywhere where you can imagine. Disney World every single year for my entire life. Every summer we would go to Disney World or Disneyland. And it was amazing. I mean, growing up, it was amazing. We had everything. We never, even when things were not going great with the economy in Mexico, we never knew. You know, my parents always provided a whole lot more than we needed. So, you know, years later when I get married, I immigrate to the United States because my husband is from here and I didn't know what life was like, you know, like the real world. I really had never had a real job outside of working for my dad. I did work at the cafeteria when I was in college because I came to the USA to study. So I did work at the cafeteria making $5.15 for an entire hour of standing up and chopping salad and serving college kids food because I was working at the cafeteria. And I was just wondering, how can people live off $5.15 for an entire hour? I mean, my feet were hurting and I was walking to my dorm and I was just like, this is just not a good deal. I just spent 3 hours and only made 15 cents. And after taxes, $15. And after taxes, that's just not going to be a whole lot of money. Like, how can people do it? And I was wondering, how does my dad do it? Because the Mexican economy, I got to tell you, my friends, it's totally different than the American economy. If the minimum wage right now in the United States is around $7 and some change, in Mexico, you earn that much for an entire day. That's why so many people come to the United States, for the financial opportunity, really only. That's the only thing, and I say this with all respect because I'm a US citizen now. The only thing that attracts people to the United States from Mexico is the financial opportunity, because the lifestyle, the family, the friends, the traditions, the culture that we have in Mexico, you cannot replace that with anything. But the financial opportunity, that's huge. So that's why so many people come here. But well, that's besides the point. So when I went to college, I was just starting to figure out what really the value of money was, because my parents gave me an allowance and I did get some scholarships. So that was good because I was able to save them a lot of money because they paid for my college. So I'm telling you this so that you know where I'm coming from. I never had to worry about money, ever. So fast forward, I get married, get a job right away. My first job, I didn't even have my work permit yet. And the guy hired me and he said, I'll pay you when you get your work permit. And I was like, oh, I don't know if he's going to pay me, but I guess I'll take the job because it was a job that was perfect for my qualifications and my training as a journalist. So I took the job, and sure enough, 2 months later, my work permit arrived, and he paid me a whole $6,000 for the 2 months that I had already worked. He was paying me $3,000 per month. That was my first salary in the United States. And I could not believe it. That was so much money. I've never seen so much money. Like, I was earning the most money I've ever earned in my entire life. Because in Mexico, I was working for my dad's business. My salary, my highest salary when I lived in Mexico was about, so it was 8,000 pesos, which it would be about $400 of today's money. So imagine that I'm used to making $400. Again, economies are different. For an entire month of work. And my first job in the United States is $3,000. Huge. So I was married, and one thing we never talked about was money. My husband and I never talked about money. We never discussed finances. I remember one day early in our marriage, he was explaining to me about life insurance. And I was like, I don't want to hear about this because you're not going to die, right? Like, we don't need to discuss what's going to happen when you're going to die. Like, he was trying to explain to me some of the benefits that he had from work. And I was like, I don't want to hear it because you're not going to die, right? Like, this is not going to happen. Like, I was so naive. And so we went on to live life. We had 2 good incomes, then later I got another job that was paying me a lot more, and he got another job that was paying him a lot more, and bonuses and this and that. So we were making a lot of money, and we had built a lifestyle that depended on those 2 incomes. In my head, and everything that I had seen and I believed about the United States is that if you wanted to work, there would be work for you. And this is the land of opportunities. Who doesn't know the United States as the land of opportunities, right? So in my head, people in the United States are just like wealthy everywhere. No matter who, everyone is wealthy. I remember once we came to visit family that we had in Houston, and I had a cousin, his name was Greg, and he was driving a Mustang, a blue Mustang, and he was a waiter. And he came to meet with the family because we were visiting, and we were visiting his family, and we were at a restaurant, and he was driving this Mustang. This is like 25 years ago I'm talking about. So Mustangs were expensive. And I was like, how is he able to drive a Mustang? He must be making a lot of money. I didn't know everything in the United States also is financed, right? So here we are living the life of a young married couple making very good income. We bought a house, we bought 2 cars, we got credit cards, and before you knew it, we're living paycheck to paycheck. Like, we have these 2 amazing incomes and we are living paycheck to paycheck. And I'm like, how is this possible? How is it that we're doing this, you know? Of course, I was going shopping. We were going out to eat, you know, Saturdays and Sundays. We were just doing life. We were just happening to life. And that's when things took a turn. So about 12 years ago, 13 to 12 years ago, the recession happened. And that's when everything came crashing down because we lost 65% of our income. Now, imagine that we are living a lifestyle based on 2 incomes, and we're living a very comfortable lifestyle. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy, nothing out of, you know, the ordinary, but we were not being careful. And what happened was something I was never prepared for. The economy collapsed. You guys remember 2007, 2008, 2009? Everything that there was on TV was about the collapse of the economy. The worst financial crisis in modern history. I was working as a reporter, and those were the stories that I was covering every single day for 3 entire years. This was a painful time. This was a depressing time. This was a time where our bank account just started getting smaller. We got isolated from people because I didn't want people to know what situation we were going through because I didn't know how to explain it. I didn't want to be judged. There was a lot of pressure from, I guess, society, or at least I felt a lot of pressure from society because our situation had changed so drastically. And I didn't know what to do. And I was not prepared to face that time. And that became probably the best thing that could ever happen to us now that I look back. And later on, I'll go more into details. I just don't want to, go on too long. But going through the financial crisis, seeing our income go down by about 65% and not knowing what to do, that's something to learn from, right? That's going through that experience and making it through, ups and downs was what motivated me to become what I am today, a financial coach. Because it was really painful and it was depressing and it was scary and I didn't know what to do and I didn't know who to talk to and I didn't know if there was help and I didn't know what to do. We were doing what society, the commercials, your friends, your family tells you should do. Oh, you get a job, you buy you a car, and you don't buy you any car. You don't buy a used car because now you have a job. You need to buy a reliable car, right? So what is it that you do? You go to the dealership and you get a brand new car because it's reliable and you need reliable transportation to make it to work, or you need reliable or a safe vehicle because now you have a family and you don't want to put your kids in an old car because it's not safe. You need to put your kids in a new SUV or a new car, right? And so everyone is doing this. We're all living life like a ship, we're just living life. We're part of the crowd and we're moving with the crowd. And we did that too. So we got the cars, we got the house, we got the credit cards. Oh my goodness, the credit cards. You have to have a credit card. You cannot exist in the United States without a credit card. How many times have you heard that? You have to have good credit score. How many times have you been told that? Yet, in the midst of our own financial crisis, when I'm looking at our bank account, just, like going down and down and down, I do the numbers and I realize that the income that we had coming in was just enough to do life. It was enough to pay for the mortgage. It was enough to pay for gas and food and utilities. It was not enough to pay for all the stuff that society said we needed to have and we needed to finance because the opportunity is in the financing. That's what we're told to believe. We are told to believe that if you can get the loan to buy the car, you are worthy. If you can get and you can qualify for the loan to buy the house, you are worthy. If you can qualify for the loan to get the boat, you are worthy, right? That's what we're made believe. If you can get the credit cards and use them to pay for everything you were gonna pay anyway, and then use the points to go on vacation or use the miles to buy, plane tickets and use all these rewards, you are part of an exclusive club. That's what we are made believe. But yet, I had done everything that society told me and the commercials and the talking heads on television told me that I needed to do to be successful, financially speaking. And I was in a hole. And I was in a very deep hole, and I had lost all hope that things could be better one day. And thankfully, after a long time of being in this constant state of financial anxiety, our income recovered. And we just started paying off the debt. And I realized that with the debt didn't come opportunity. What was happening, I was getting chained to the things that I had bought that I couldn't afford because we borrowed the money. Because with the income reduction, we could have done life, but we couldn't do life and pay all the debt. So again, I was like, wait a minute. I am being told that in order to be successful, I have to have all these things and I have to finance everything, and I don't have to wait to save the money. Who does that? I can just have it today because I can go borrow the money because I have good credit cards, good credit scores. So I'm going to go borrow the money and I'm going to be successful today to the eyes of everybody else. When in reality, you are being held back. And that's what made everything worth it. I realized that the opportunity was not in being able to get in debt, like many of us believe. And many of you guys believe this. And you might, after you watch this or you listen to this, you're going to be like, she's crazy, I'm not going to pay attention. That is opportunity. I have a house, it's an opportunity. I have a car, it's an opportunity. I couldn't have this car. Well, maybe you don't need to have that car. Maybe you don't need to have that house. Because everything works as long as you have the income. But the moment that income goes away for any reason, it might be a collapse in the economy. It might be that you get sick and you can go to work and you don't get paid. It might be that you have an accident. It wasn't your fault. You have an accident. Now you're sick or during the hospital and you cannot go to work. Maybe someone in your family needs attention and you can't work to provide them with your time and attention. I realized that when I had built a lifestyle that depended on the income to maintain it, I had made a big mistake. We had made a big mistake. And if we could learn to not get in debt and still create a life that we loved, we would be in a totally different position. We would be in a very comfortable, confident situation where our happiness, our livelihood, our peace did not depend on bringing in an income. And that's when I had that huge aha moment. I'm like, the debt. It is the debt that's keeping us from really fulfilling our purpose, from really living a life that we love. So if we get rid of the debt, then we can actually pursue the path that's there for us to really thrive. And when I had that realization, guys, I just went crazy. I started reading and studying. And every time I came across a book or someone that was promoting debt, I would close it, put it away, and keep looking for the truth. And I came across a lot of amazing literature, a lot of amazing books, a lot of amazing authors, a lot of amazing people that actually teach you how to win with money without depending on debt. Because the true path for you to having freedom is living debt-free. I'm totally convinced of that. The entire Smart Finances podcast is going to show you how you can too pursue a life you love and have everything that you want. I want you to have everything you want. I want you to have the Louis Vuitton. I want you to have the Cadillac. I want you to have the cruise. I want you to have everything, okay? I'm not saying live a very frugal life and be unhappy and work hard and be unhappy because you can't have anything. That's not what I'm saying. You're not getting it. What I'm saying is you can have all those things and still do it debt-free. And yes, you can do it. But you're going to have to set priorities. You're going to have to be disciplined. You're going to have to learn to live a totally different lifestyle than we're used to because money is available easily through loans. And I know for many of you guys, this is going to be very out there. You're not going to believe it. You're very comfortable with the lifestyle that you have right now, and you're not willing to cut your credit cards, and you're not willing to stop borrowing money. You know what? I am holding my flag today, and I'm telling you, I am totally anti-debt. My next goal financially is to pay off my house as soon as I can, because that is my freedom number, you know? Whatever balance is left on the mortgage, that is my freedom number. The day that the house is paid for, I will feel completely free from the shackles of debt. I can do with that money anything I want to do. I can go travel. I can, support good causes. I can invest in more in my business, in my education, in my kids' education. Once you totally free yourself up from debt, the world is your oyster, The possibilities just up and up. But as long as you continue to be tied up to your debt, to your credit card, I know a lot of people, and I was there too, who are making hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars in minimum payments on credit cards, on 17 credit cards that they have, all maxed out. And they are stressed and depressed and they're angry and they think this is happening to them. And you know what? It's not happening to you. You used the credit cards. You made the decision to buy the stuff now. You didn't have the money and you decided to go buy it. And that's how I used to do it. What I'm telling you is my life is 100% much better without using credit cards to pay stuff that I can't afford, without driving cars that I can't pay cash for, without going to Disney World and putting it on a credit card. Like, we're over here preparing our second trip to Disney World, and it's going to be debt-free. And you know what? It's amazing to know that you can enjoy yourself and do it debt-free. But it's not easy. It takes discipline, it takes communication, it takes determination, it takes time. And what I'm here to tell you, if you are willing to improve your finances, to really live out your best financial future, that's what the Smart Finances podcast is going to help you do. So as we go and move along in the next few weeks and months, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the mistakes, the successes, the ups and the downs that I have experienced, hoping that it will help you move along in your financial journey. And I'm also going to be sharing with you my freedom goals, my financial freedom goals, because I think it's very important that you know where I used to be 10, 15 years ago and where I'm headed now. And if you are feeling like you're not in a place that you are enjoying financially, and you have been in a place that you don't like to be financially, what I'm here to tell you is you need to do things differently. The results that you have today are because of the actions that you've been taking for 5, 10, 11, 20 years. If you want different results, you need to change what you're doing. In order to change what you're doing, you need to change what you believe. If you believe that credit cards are good and that credit cards are going to give you points and are going to give you opportunities, if you believe that debt's going to give you opportunity, your results will continue to be what you have today laying in front of you. If you want different results, you need to get new information so that you change your beliefs, okay? And hopefully I'll be here to help you out with that. So, welcome back to the Smart Finances podcast. I am really happy that you are joining me, and I really hope that you will continue joining me in this journey from now on until you and I achieve our highest financial goals. Now, I'm going to say goodbye now, but before I go, I want to tell you something. It's very helpful if you take a minute of your time to either write me a review on iTunes, write me a comment on YouTube if you're watching or listening to this on YouTube, write me a comment on Facebook or Instagram if that's where you are getting this. And I also want you to know that all this information is free, but this information is useless. What? I just said it's useless? Wait a minute, I just spent a half an hour creating this and I just said this information is useless? Wait, this information is useless if you do not apply it, okay? If you're just gonna listen and go on with your life, you just wasted half an hour of your time. What I want you to know is that Smart Finances podcast will only make an impact in your life if you apply these concepts. It's good that you listen to it, but you need to move on and apply it. So how am I gonna ask you to apply them today? I want you to go to yezminthomas.com, YEZMINTHOMAS, and enroll for any of my free resources. I have free resources to help you budget your money, organize your finances, improve your financial wellness. Really go in and choose whichever you like. I have several. If you like several, if you like all of them, get them all. But I want you to do something. You need to know where you stand today financially to know where you can go or where you want to go, okay? If we don't know where we're standing today, there's no moving forward. So what I want you to do is head over to yezminthomas.com, YEZMINTHOMAS, and enroll for one of my free resources, okay? If you don't apply these concepts, and those free resources are going to help you apply this, if you don't apply it, it's going to be useless. So my recommendation would be, if you're interested in improving your finances, don't listen to the Smart Finances podcast just for entertainment, because this is not for entertainment. This is to empower you with the tools that I have discovered and practiced for the last 10 to 15 years to really transform my finances and the finances of my family, okay? So that's your task for today. Number one, leave me a comment or a review. Go ahead and go to my website and download one of my free resources. And number three, if you know someone who would find this information useful, go ahead and share this episode with them. Tag them, email it to them. It's easy to share, okay? So make sure you do that. Thank you so much for your attention. I am so excited to be back, and I'll talk to you next time.